Welcome to another episode of Dr. Cammy Goes Keto with Mike Collins, the sugar-free man who has helped so many people get abstinent and off of sugar and continues to do so through so many avenues. And I'm so grateful for you to be here, Mike. And thank you for helping me through this process.
Anytime, my dear. I love it. I love this. You're so brave. And I tell people all the time. And one day, this series of you from where you were to where you're going is going to be a cultural classic. I swear to you.
And to where I got, right? To where I ultimately ended up. And I'm in the journey, right? I'm in the middle of this journey, it feels like. And
Yeah.
what I want,
And literally every tear and every,
oh my gosh.
it's great. I love
Oh
it.
my gosh. And so I wanted to talk today about my two different lives that I feel like I live now.
Okay.
And I'm really starting to feel in these two different lives, not so much what I'm doing in the two different lives, but how it makes me feel. And that's kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure. It's a little confusing to me because I'm feeling these things. But there's the one life that I have, which is the binging life, which is the eating off plan food and getting myself high on ultra processed foods and high on sugar and the physical process of what happens there, as well as the emotional process that happens there with like guilt and shame and remorse and beating myself up with negative thought talk and, um, yeah, this miserable place where I go. Then biochemically, there's a lot of, um, like after I eat the sugar, there's a lot of like nausea and exhaustion and inflammation and pain and, all of those things that will happen after I eat off plant food. And then there's this other life that I live, which is this abstinent life. And when I'm in my abstinent life, some of the key things that I do is I maintain a food plan, which I enjoy now. I can't believe I get to say that because, 2 years ago, I was like, "I'm never gonna have a food plan. I wanna be a normal person. I wanna eat without a food plan and eat healthy without a food plan." Well, good luck with that one. For me, so far, I haven't figured that one out. So I'm eating a food plan that has lots of healthy food on it and lots of food that I'm enjoying, that I get to eat, that I like, that tastes good, that feed me nutritionally. And then I'm doing things like spiritually, like not trying to control the outcomes of certain things and
Uh-huh.
just giving it to my higher power to be able to go through my life in a way that I can wear life like a loose garment, kind of is how we talk about it. And, just try to do the next right thing, which generally I know what the next right thing is. And when I do my life that way, I produce happiness because I learned that last week or so that happiness is a byproduct of doing the next right thing. I really like that saying
I like it.
because when I'm in my role and I'm doing my next right thing, I'm happy and I feel better physically, right? I'm not getting the hangovers from the sugar and my dopamine levels are going up. I'm getting dopamine hits, but they're not as severe and acute and strong as you get them with that sugar.
Right.
Those are hits that are like wham, and so I'm getting used to getting dopamine hits that are not so full of wham, but that are more sustainable and a little less intense. But, at the end of the day, when I get to say, hey, I had a great abstinent day today and I ate really healthy food for my body, and my body is saying, thank you, Cammy, that makes me feel really good.
I love this. I really, I asked the question when you kind of brought up the topic, the two lives were converging and that you were starting to make them into one. And you don't have this dichotomy, this split, these two different things. And it sounds like that, the parts you don't want are falling away, even when you're, using or whatever. And the parts that you do want are accelerating in the life that when you're in the positive and you're, abstinent. So I love that. So what are more ways that they're coming together? And the big question is, can you see it all blending into one life on the side that you want?
Yeah. That's a great question. So I was telling Mike before we taped that this reminds me a lot of when I was drinking and when I quit drinking because I had these two different lives. I had Cammy the drinker and Cammy the professional, and which interestingly, Cammy the mother kind of fluctuated in between two of those because I would drink with my kids
Right.
walking around the neighborhood with a soda can in my hand and mandarin orange vodka in it with a little bit of soda and drinking my soda on Fridays when I didn't have to drive them to preschool and I was post call. So I had no work responsibilities. And I would get this, I would get high off of this alcohol and then I would have to get them down to a nap so that I could nap too, so that we could both all kind of be refreshed for when the evening came and my husband came home. And so what happened emotionally for me during that time was that I would go through my week and things would frustrate me, right? Like, because the world wouldn't do everything that I knew, as selfish and self-centered as I was. And of course I knew everything. The world would not do it the way that I knew was exactly the right way to do it. And so that would build a lot of frustration and a lot of anxiety and a lot of anger. And then I would just kind of bottle it all up into this package. And on Fridays, when I didn't have to do all that thing, I would drink it away. And then I would get really happy and I would dance around the house and me and the kids would go play in the backyard. We'd have all this good fun together. And then my husband told me that this has got to stop, and I was ready to stop because it was a difficult way to live.
Hmm.
With all those frustrations during the week, I was not happy. And the only time that I was really happy was I would get happy at work, when I would deliver babies and things would work out well and my patients were so amazing and wonderful. And, I would get happy at work. I would have moments of happiness. But my happiest times were when I was drinking and dancing around the house after I had got some alcohol in me. And I realized that I didn't want to live that way anymore. It wasn't working for me anymore. And so now if I transfer it over to the food part of it, I'm not quite sure. I haven't figured it all out yet because I can tell you that I like the abstinent life. I like it. I like what it does for me. I like that it helps me physically and I like what it's doing for me emotionally. Being able to let go and let God and not trying to control the outcomes. Cause see, I'm just transferring it over to food. So I'm trying to, I still get into these times where I want to control what people say or do or how it happens, how it rolls out, or, when something happens and it doesn't go the way that I wanted it to go or that I thought it should go, I need to be able to let that go. And I'm getting better and better at doing that through a variety of different means. Like
Mhm.
one of them are the conversations I have with a good friend of mine who I walk with, who's much more spiritually evolved than I am. And we talk about, letting things happen the way that they need to happen and how things just are, like how reality just is.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean that it's one way or another and that means that or that person this or that person that. It just is. And being okay with what is, it has been a big part of it for me. Acceptance.
Yeah, I love it. No, I mean, it's you're seemingly like hopefully, obviously, I love the phrase, "I like the abstinent life. I like the abstinent life," and I think the pain or the terrible part of the non-abstinent life is fading in popularity with you and in general, so I think this is huge. So
Or the other way to look at it is, I'm just throwing this out there. Is it possible that like the terrible way is just getting so, so terrible and getting so bad,
yeah.
that I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that
In
anymore.
contrast.
In contrast. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people, and how you've heard it around the room meetings, like how many people say when they relapse is like, I cannot, they go through that, what you described, the depression and the shame and the whole thing. And they're like, I can't believe I used to live like that. Like after, if they've got some decent amount of time and then there's a slip or whatever. The contrast is so stark. Whereas most people who of our age or whatever, they've never in their life had this experience of having abstinence as a way or something to contrast with this life that they've been living. They just think it's age. They think it's, a pound or two a year. Every year they gain a little, and their headaches and their this and all their physical maladies and their weight gain. They just think that's what it is. And then when they have that positive contrast to show or feel, actually viscerally feel, then they like, okay, now I got some motivation that's internal, not external, right? It's not your husband saying something's got to change.
Mhm,
It's that
mhm.
you want to be different. You want to feel different. You want to have this positive upward spiral as opposed to this negative downward spiral.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention that's going on with me right now is that my son came into town for my birthday. It was so sweet. I wanted him to come see me from Chicago, and I kept asking him to come out. And finally, he's like, "Well, I was trying to surprise you, but you keep asking. So I'm telling you that I'm coming out for your birthday," which was in March on the 7th. And we had this wonderful time together, and I went completely off the rails. As a
Mm.
matter of fact, when they called me from Five Guy, they were ordering at Five Guys Burgers, and they called me to order my burger, and Michael said, "You want it lettuce wrapped, right?" And I said, "I want a bun." And then the 2 boys, you could hear them in the car, they're like, "Whoa," and I ordered that burger with a bun, and I ate that thing, and I ate fries, and then I
Hey,
went
let's
and
not glorify this, please.
I know it was, but that's what I do. I have to tell you, Mike, when I get there, like, look at me, I light up, and
You
there's
did light
glitter,
up.
and there's stars, and it's so exciting, and my voice gets high, and all of this stuff happens, and then comes the crash and burn. Okay, so then when I went and got on the scale with Jeff at the
Well, I
gym,
gotta
I hit
stop you and say, you know this and you've lived little glimpses of it, that light up can happen without that stuff, right? In
yeah, it
life
can.
general.
And I'm learning how to dopamine it up, right? Like how I
Okay.
was talking earlier about how the dopamine hit that you get with sugar is different than the dopamine hit that you get with abstinence. It is different. And in
It's
my
pretty instead of
right, and in my mind, I'm still getting off on that one that goes bam.
yeah, that one that
I'm still getting off on that thing. And so I got on the scale with Jeff, and I had gained 6 pounds in 2 weeks doing this eating for like a week. It wasn't like a binge for a day or two. It was just off plan. It was just off the rails for like 5 or 6 days. And so now what's going on now is that I'm dealing with the repercussion of it. So I'm dealing with the healthy eating. I'm day 6 now or whatever of no sugar, no flour, minimal caffeine, like 2 cups of decaf coffee a day. That's 6 milligrams apiece. And I'm doing the deal, right? But my body physically is big. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't move like it used to. And what I'm trying to bring up is the point that before I went on this like week-long event, I was in this place where I was getting leaner. I was, in Jeff's gym. I was at the lowest body weight I had been at. I was at the highest muscle mass, and my lean muscle mass was higher than my fat mass on my body for the first time. The graphs were moving in the right way, and I was feeling it physically. Like I could tell, like when I walk, I just felt strong, and my quads are always real muscular, and I could just feel that way. And then I just went and did this and set myself back like probably 3 to 4 weeks with this 1 week bender, as far as like getting myself back there. And so I'm telling myself, this is why I'm having these 2 different lives trying to come together, I think, because I'm like, "God, I never wanna do this again." I mean, I don't wanna do it again. It's too much work to get back, and it's miserable in the meantime. When I could be having days of abstinence and doing well and, and being happier and feeling better physically.
so I think you're right in the core of everybody's dilemma and struggle. So what is your best guess on how you do that? And then I'll chime in.
What is my best guess on how I stay in that moving
Yeah.
forward abstinent realm? Well, what comes to mind is how complex it is. I don't think there's any for me one single answer. It's not there's so many different things that you have to be doing in that have to all it's kind of like a highway, and all the roads going toward abstinence have to be heading in the right way together and lined up. Because if your lanes are going all over in different ways, it's not going to work. You have to all be going forward like that. And so it's like it's not eating, it's keeping a food plan. It's having the right food in your house to eat. It's having don't have food in your house that you don't eat. It's meditation. It's exercise. It's getting your sleep. It's connection with others. It's, it's like all those things that have to all go together. It's learning how to manage a dopamine hit that is not a super spike and being happy with the dopamine hit that you get. That's not like, a super spike.
So I don't want to get too far, like the future pacing is the coaching kind of idea or construct. But what will it take 6 months, 50 pounds? What will it take for you to be, okay, I'm never going back? Like, what will it take one day at a time for I'm never going back? What will it take to use the tools when you are in that place? Like call someone, go to a meeting, the tools that you have at your disposal. In your mind, what's the trigger trip? What does it take? I mean, what will it take, do you think? I mean, do you have an idea or is it just a mystery still?
It feels like a mystery to me still because what happens is that this is a pattern that I'm doing. I get on plan, I get on track, I get doing well, and then I forget. I forget the misery is what happens. I tend to forget how bad I felt and how hard I had to work to get those 6 pounds off and how, and I think I miss the dopamine hit, the bam that's coming.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's the issue in all addictions of any kind is to get through that first whatever it is. And again, yes, I'm a believer in one day at a time, and you can't be thinking about all that. But there's a bit of muscling at the beginning where you've got to get through because the abstinence feeds on itself, right? You know, biologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There's brain repair going on. You're feeling better. Your shame is down because you're accomplishing. There's just so much of a positive upward spiral, a positive spiral going on. One of the things that the slang in a lot of recovery programs is built in forgetter. And I think built in forgetter is like what you're describing is that you just, when the opportunity for a bun presents itself, or moreover, I mean, like we did that one time with your mother. I love that episode where you couldn't figure out why you binged after you went to the gym and were feeling positive, and it took us the whole hour to get you down to your mother that morning. The same thing here. I would postulate that your son coming in, being excited, having both your boys there, and the emotional life or the thoughts or the memories of losing two children were subconsciously, you just didn't want to be doing that. You know what I mean? You didn't want the emotional work it would require to have your son in from out of town, your other son there, your birthday celebration, and all that that implies. You just didn't want to do it. Like very unconsciously, very unconsciously that you just didn't want to do it. You just like, you didn't have time to have those emotional upsets with your brother, your sons, or the time with their sons, and or which a lot of people don't talk about much is the bam, the positive, like people getting high or drunk or eating a lot at a wedding or a celebration. It lifts it up, and you, even if you're a user and you're on it and you're having a problem, you eat more at a wedding and you get higher, and you quote unquote forget about that you're going to crash like a lead balloon that next day. We've got to kind of tease apart the unconscious reasons that you did this or do this, right? And not make it a mystery anymore, right? And say that whole sit down and say to yourself, cross your things, put your hands on your chest and say, Cammy, what do I really need? What do I really want? It's not a bun, And what am I really feeling? It's not a bun. Michael's in from out of town. We're going to be doing this. We're going to have to, I'm going to be the odd person out at the restaurants we go to, all of that. I don't know, is that resonating at all?
Yeah, yeah, no, that totally resonates because when you were saying we have to eliminate the mystery, I was thinking in my head, well, it's not a total and complete mystery to me because I know that it's always emotional for me. It is always emotions and feelings, and they're generally emotions and feelings that I don't know how to process. I'm not experienced with processing them yet.
Or even finding them, articulating them.
Yeah, I'm learning, I'm doing that. Like, I don't know, should I wanna tell the story about the carrot cake that I brought over to my neighbor's house
Okay.
that I did that short on,
Yeah.
where I had this carrot cake in my house for 3 hours to get it from the store to this party I was going to, and the party got canceled, and I knew I had to get rid of this cake because
Mm,
I'm abstinent. So I'm like, "I gotta get rid of this cake." So I took it to my neighbor's house. She took it and said she'll eat a little bit and put it in the freezer and eat it later, and I said, "Okay, fine." And when I came back into my house, I closed my door and I just started bawling. I just started crying really, really hard by myself in my house, well, with my cat. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is this? There's so many emotions going on right now. So I grabbed my journal and I wrote what was going on.
right.
And I wrote, oh, I have it right here. I wrote, why am I crying so hard? Tears of happiness because I didn't need it. Tears of frustration, like, "Why do I have to be this way? Why do I have
Mm,
to be this way?" Tears of shame and guilt, like, "What's wrong with you?" Instead of asking myself, "What happened to you?" like Oprah Winfrey's book,
right.
I asked the voice said, "What's wrong with you that you're sitting here crying so hard just because you gave a cake away?" And I also had tears of overwhelm because I'm very sensitive to things. And I was, and I was crying hard and it was very sensitive and emotional for me. And that's how I respond and that's who I am. So I had all those different reasons for the tears. And then once I journaled it and I was like, well, I know me. And that makes pretty good sense to me.
Yeah. So, can you repeat that when the urges come, the process before? I think the difficult part is, you experienced the emotional part of it without using, coming back from giving it away, which is positive experience in your recovery, right? Now we have to kind of get you to experience the negative ones in your recovery, like before they happen. They're largely more unconscious than the ones that are surfacing with a little bit of abstinence, right? Like the giving the cake back. Now, my contention is that you were happy about it. You're a little sad that you had to give the cake away, but, you're more happy that you didn't use it. You didn't ingest it at all. So, yeah, I mean, I just think you're and again, this is a little controversial sometimes to some of my contemporaries, but this identification of exactly what you're feeling and what the reason is for your using is important, and it's hard. It's hard to because you've had a system before that would shut it down and shut it up just temporarily.
Yeah. So my plans for the future, like, today and every day, just one day at a time, when I start to get a craving for something or to do some crazy idea about eating things that are not on my abstinent I'm going to ask myself, what am I feeling? What's going on? Because what happens is that it's usually something recent, like within the last 5 minutes to an hour,
Right.
something happens. And then I'm craving these things. I really think that I've been off of the sugar enough. I've been off more than on for long enough that the physical cravings are getting definitely better. I don't really think I have a lot of physical cravings anymore. I think my cravings are emotional.
Love it. That's a great revelation.
Yeah, so my go-to is gonna be looking at what just happened to you emotionally, and sometimes I don't wanna see it. Like, sometimes it'll happen and it'll be so unconscious, I don't see it. Like yesterday, I was craving something really bad, and I was like, "Oh my god, just get home to your house, get home to your house," and I'm out in the world, right? And there's, stores on every corner, and I'm driving, and it was kind of a stressful day, and I'm just like, I ate appropriately, I ate on my plan, and I'm like, "Just get home, get home, get home." And, something had happened where now I think I know what it was, now that I'm talking about it, because my sister and I went and looked at some other facilities for my other sister who's having severe memory issues. And
Mm,
my one sister liked one facility better than I liked the other facility, and I liked the other facility. And and it turns out that my other sister, the 3rd sister, agreed with my other sister and not with me. So there was, like, some confrontation, kind of like a little bit of and, like, what I thought was the best thing to do might not have been the best thing to do in the long run. So I
mhm.
was wrong.
God forbid!
God forbid, Cammy, that perfectionist.
That would be me. I would have that problem. You and I are alike in that way. I was
Absolutely.
wrong, and then, you're out getting drunk and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a good catch there.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
we'll
think what we have to do is work on the process of that uncovering. So where did it happen? It happened a day later when you were talking with somebody about it. I know this is hard, and this is why meetings work, and this is why friendships and relationships in recovery work, is that and this is you're gonna hate this, but it's true. Every time you have a craving, you gotta call somebody.
Yeah, I did. I called. I called 2 or 3 people because I was getting answering machines, and I was like, "Look, I got something going on. I'm just gonna get home. I'm gonna get to my house." I did. I think I called 3 people and got answering machines and didn't get somebody. So I have some good stuff in place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Reaching out is a really good thing that I have in place. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Let's see what happens in the next week. When I see you next week, we'll see what rolls out this week.
Go for it. You're doing great. I mean, look, again, I'm gonna keep telling you every time because you gotta start one day you're gonna say, I am doing great, you know what I mean? As opposed to, like, processing it through a filter that says, "Oh, he's just being nice," or whatever it is, whatever your shame filter is.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
All
doing
right, well, thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate these discussions with you and, really looking forward to the rest of my journey.
me too. Keep it coming. See ya.
All right, thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.